Hello friendos and bendos, it's me Z, and as a species, human beings are obsessed with the future. After all, it's the ultimate unknown, and we've been trying to wrestle with this unknown for millennia. What's gonna happen? How is it gonna happen? When will it happen? Whether it be through seeking prophecy or modern sci-fi, humanity will continue to always ask these questions, and comic books, most of all, are obsessed with the future. Batman Beyond, Kingdom Come, 2099, Old Man Logan. The big two have so many stories about possible futures of their universes that it's hard to keep track of them all. And today, we're going to be looking at one very special future. We're setting our sights on DC 1 Million. An event headed by visionary Grant Morrison in the 90s, DC 1 Million was a comic event where the Justice League met their counterparts from the year 87,271. Along with the main event miniseries, every DC comic at the time also got a special millionth issue that either expanded on the event story or the world building of the 853rd century. For those of you wondering why the event was focused on the 853rd century and the year 87,271 to be precise, it's because that's the year 1 million months after 1938, which is the debut year of Action Comics, Superman, and the birth of the superhero as we know it, and comics released monthly, meaning that in reality, the millionth issue of Action Comics would release in the 853rd century. When I realized this, my mind was genuinely kinda blown, because most future timeline stories just choose an arbitrary date, so this one having some actual clever thought put into it really did something for me. Now, this video is not a recap of the DC 1 Million event, it's instead more of a tour of the universe, honing in on the heroes, locations, and lore elements introduced, meaning that if you do want to read the event, or any other DC 1 Million related stuff, you'll understand what's going on a little better. With that in mind, I put my preferred reading order in the description and the pinned comment because, honestly, the official omnibus order sucks, and most orders you find online also really suck, so just give it a shot if you want to read the event. But with that preamble out of the way, let's get started with the advanced technology of the 853rd century allows humanity to colonize the entirety of the solar system, from Mercury to Neptune and even Pluto, because Pluto was still a planet in the 90s. Along with this also came the invention of tesseracts. Tesseracts are pocket dimensions of infinite space, and living in these pocket dimensions, humanity has essentially solved infinite sustainability, pretty much eradicating poverty system-wide, or at least poverty as we know it. You see, while the 853rd century is essentially a utopia by today's standards, there's still a certain kind of poverty, this being information poverty. You see, in the 853rd century, we have the headnet, which is essentially a super advanced internet that everybody is telepathically linked to. And with the headnet, information is now the name of the game. It is the primary thing that people trade in. If you have no information, you have nothing to contribute to the world, and so your social standing plummets. When the Flash visits the equivalent of a slum in the 853rd century, the people there are honestly living very good lives. Like, they live essentially what is a lower middle class life today. But in the 853rd century, these people are still despondent and sad and feel like their lives are worthless because they feel no connection to the headnet and they have no information to give. It's kind of like an entire society of influencers, which, you know, now that I said out loud, sounds really sucky. So let's move on to the most exciting invention featured in DC 1 Million, that being icons. People in the 853rd century are obsessed with the modern day superheroes, so obsessed that humanity has figured out a way to mass produce superpowers and give them to people to essentially just fuck around with. Icons are used by siphoning energy from modern day artifacts used by superheroes, and using this energy, you can copy the powers of that hero. And people pay good information for these icon powers. There's even an underground illegal icon trade for people who are really looking for the good stuff. Now, while there are other really cool technologies from this time period, like instant teleportation boom suits, the tesseracts, the headnet, and icons are really the things I wanted to highlight in this video, because they're the most unique things about the setting, and the most expanded on. So, now moving on from technology, let's go to In the 853rd century, there are many different heroes and villains. The main heroic team is the Justice Legion, which is split into many different subgroups, each with their own function, though we only ever see a few in the actual event and in following material. The main Justice Legion team is Justice Legion A, and it has Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Starman, Hourman, The Atom, and Owlwoman. The Superman of Justice Legion A is Kal Kent, a direct descendant of Clark's, and along with the usual super-duper Kryptonian powers, he also has Super ESP that allows him to do stuff like mind control and move things with his mind. Why does he have these? Well, it's because during the 67th century, a literal fifth-dimensional imp married into the Clark Kent bloodline, which is just crazy to me. Like, oh my god, they didn't have to explain it this way, but they did, and I thank Morrison for that eternally. Oh, also yes, when he says his name backwards, he does get transported to the fifth dimension. It's fucking awesome. Now, Kal Kent's powers come with a caveat, and it's that, in exchange for extra power, he can't really do anything outside of the solar system. After 36 hours outside of the solar system, his powers disappear. And the reason this is because he made a deal with this guy, Superman Prime. And if you're wondering who Superman Prime is, he's Clark Kent. Like the actual modern day Clark Kent who has lived to the 853rd century and who now lives in the sun. You might have heard this guy mentioned as Superman 1 million, but that's wrong. Kal Kent is Superman 1 million. The golden Superman here is Superman Prime, and you need to get that right because it pisses me off, okay? It just does that to me, okay? I like Kal Kent a lot. I like Kal Kent a lot, and I think that he gets a lot of shade and not a lot of attention because he's outshone by Superman Prime. But I think Kal's really cool. You gotta read his tie-ins in the events. They give him lots of personality and charm. Also, his tagline is, "Faster than a speeding tachyon, more powerful than the gravitational pull of a collapsing star, able to leap from world to world in a single bound." Like, how can you not love that shit? Batman 1 million, while we don't know his name, we do know his backstory. He was one of many children who were forced to watch their parents get slaughtered in a planetary genocide on Pluto, and he swore to never have that happen again, deciding to take on the mantle of Batman. Batman 1 million has amazing technology, a genius-level intellect, learned from powerful psychic cephalopods, and his sidekick is Robin, the Toy Wonder, a robot mixed with the brainwaves of Bruce's childhood self. Essentially a really kind of weird version of the Vision if you think about it. Though I'd definitely rather have Robin 1 million over the Vision any day of the week, no contest. He is just so fun and full of whimsy, and Vision does not have whimsy, that's for sure. Wonder Woman 1 million is a marble statue brought to life by the Goddess of Truth, who I'm pretty sure we're supposed to assume is Diana, ascended to godhood in the future. Wonder Woman 1 million has two golden bracelets, Harmony and Charity, powered by a super advanced AI with the ability to create energy constructs. Her sidekick is Troy, another marble statue brought to life. She's basically the Wonder Girl of the 853rd century. Flash 1 million is John Fox, and he's actually from the 27th century, but he time traveled to the 853rd using his time traveling gauntlets. I think he's pretty cool, but his costumes need work. I just don't get the random triangles. I'm just gonna put it up to a 27th century fashion trend. Hourman 1 million is Matthew Tyler, an android built with the DNA of the original Hourman, and entrusted by Metron with the Whirligog, an item that can manipulate time itself. Aquaman 1 million is an Atlantean hydrokinetic who's so adept at controlling water that he can even control the water in the atmosphere. His sidekick, Tempest, can control the weather. Fun fact about Aquaman 1 million, he actually can't talk to fish, which has never really affected any of his stories, but it's a notable detail to point out. The Atom 1 million is a survivor from a destroyed universe, and he probably has my favorite power set of the entire team. He has the ability to clone himself. With each time he clones, he gets smaller and smaller, until he's literally atom-sized. And then, he and his clones can form together into the atomic structure of pretty much any item, which is just super fucking cool, and something I wish they explored a little bit more. Owlwoman 1 million is basically another Batman, and also a reference to Owlman from Watchmen. However, she does have one little bit of interesting character trivia, which is that she's half Cordian, the alternate mirror universe where everything that's bad is good and vice versa, and was also the post-crisis home of the crime syndicate. And for the final member of the Justice Legion A, we have Starman 1 million, real name Ferris Knight. He's a descendant of Ted Knight, the original Starman, and he wields the Corvat, which is essentially just the cosmic rod, but in the future. Starman 1 million also has a pretty interesting plot twist revealed in his tie-in that I won't spoil, but I will say genuinely caught me off guard, and I really liked it. Moving on from Justice Legion A, we have Justice Legion B, who are essentially this era's titans. We have Troy, Nightwing 1 million, who is like an actual bad person, Arsenal 1 million, a superpowered robot, Aqualad 1 million, a water person, and Jodo, who dies off screen and is never mentioned again, and it's super fucking funny. While they're not my favorites individually, I think together they make my favorite team of the 853rd century. They appear for like 2 issues, but in those 2 issues, they exude a lot of personality. I really want to see them return. The Justice Legion L is this era's version of the Legion of Superheroes, and they include Cosmic Bot, a cyborg with magnetism powers, Titan Girl, a psychic, Brainiac 417, a super genius, the Mon Elves, who are super tiny but also super strong, the Umbra, who's made out of darkness, Chameleon, a shapeshifter, and Implicate Girl, who's my favorite member of the team, because her powers are just so unique. She has the entire population of her planet in her head crystal, and she can use all of their collective knowledge and skills in battle. Justice Legion T is this era's version of Young Justice, and it includes Robin 1 million, Impulse 1 million, who's a living energy being, and Superboy 1 million, who's the millionth clone of Connor Kent. He and the other Superboy clones actually have their own separate superhero team, Justice Legion S, and Superboy 1 million can access all of their powers, making him a kind of one-man army corps. Yeah, no, it's a very direct reference. The issue he's in is even called Superboy 1 million and counting. His design and powers are very much supposed to make you think of OMAC. The last superhero team for us to cover is the Legion of Executive Familiars, who are this era's version of the Super Pets. They include a descendant of Crypto, a 2-headed dragon, an 8th-dimensional octopus, a teleporting worm, and my favorite character in all of DC 1 million, Google the Infinity Mouse, who is the last living white-footed mouse in existence, and who has the ability to clone himself. I mean, how can you not love this little guy, alright? I need 10 miniseries stat. You know what? No. An ongoing and a live-action movie. I said it. James Gunn, why are you not on this? Other non-standard heroes in the 853rd century include the Green Arrows, who are descendants of the Arrow family and who disavow modern technology to protect the Earth's ecosystem. We also have Creeper 1 million, who's this bizarre entity of pure madness, Azrael 1 million, a complete dumbass who I love, and Resurrection Man, who's lived all the way to this time period, and who's the main tactics coordinator of the Justice Legion. He also has a custom wrist device that allows him to die and come back with whatever power he wishes. DC 1 million also has plenty of unique villains, my favorites including the Riddle City, Dice God, Oak, who hates Superman because he has a crush on another woman, and a Vandal Savage, who, like Resurrection Man, has also lived to this time period. And man, we keep just coming back to Vandal Savage on this channel. Oh well, that's not foreshadowing. Let's move on to the final section. In DC 1 million, the entirety of the solar system has been colonized, with each planet having its own protector and purpose. Mercury is the information capital of the system, on account of it being closest to the sun, and the sun being turned into a giant solar computer. One side of Mercury is completely covered in computer servers, because, well, Mercury doesn't rotate, so that side of the planet is constantly cool, making for pretty much the most efficient cooling system of all time. Mercury's designated protector is the Flash. Venus is a new home of the Amazons, with Wonder Woman 1 million as its protector, while Earth is protected by Superman 1 million. With nature having retaken the planet after humanity moved into Tesseracts. Mars doesn't have a Justice Legion protector, but it has a protector nonetheless, that being J'onn J'onzz, the Martian Manhunter, who literally became the planet after defeating Darkseid and visiting the Source. Jupiter and Saturn we have the least information on. Jupiter has no designated protector, but it does house the Justice Legion's HQ, while Saturn is protected by Hourman. Uranus actually doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, it was destroyed by the supervillain sentient computer Solaris, but don't worry, Solaris turned good. And then he turned evil again, but let's not talk about that. The protector of Uranus's remains and the keeper of Solaris is Starman. Neptune is protected by Aquaman, and it's the home of the solar system's aquatic citizens. And finally, Pluto has been turned into a giant supermax prison, with Batman as its warden. It houses all of the system's supervillains. And that brings us to the end of our crash course on the 853rd century. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope you check out DC 1 Million if you haven't already. It's a really fun event. Anyway, that's been it for me, Z, and I'll see you in the next Tesseract. Bye.